prepared yet.
You need to try and pick off the units as. Look at the shields on the Martin.
Oh my god, the drone's gonna take him!
What's up, guys? We are back. This is Pain User.
And this is HD.
And we got game 2 for everybody. Wow, what a crazy first game.
I know, man. We were in the middle of doing our nice little introduction. We're talking about what players have beat who, doing the announcement and everything. And boom! You can't talk, HD. Shut up, Pain User. Because I'm going to 8-pull. And then Nerchio, unfortunately, he tried really hard, but you know, on that map, it's so easy for Protoss to wall it off. It was a ballsy move, though. It was really ballsy.
Indeed. Nerchio going to be spawning as our red Zerg over at the 9 o'clock position. His opponent in blue, we have White Raw, our Protoss player over at the 6 o'clock.
That's right, man. It's going to be another ZVP here, and it's going to be on Shattered Temple now. I can't help but feel that White Raw is feeling very confident after that win. Nerchio may be a little bit concerned that his cheese didn't really do all that well, and to be honest, there's no one to blame but himself for that. When throwing down the hatchery, you always need a unit here to spot the area around the hatch. So it's a little bit unfortunate that he didn't see it, and kudos to White for doing such a crazy and very highly experienced veteran move, which is when dealing with the cheese to build a cannon behind the hatchery.
The gateway. Yeah.
Yeah,
and the cannon behind the hatchery.
Yeah,
that was
that's what I was talking
as well.
about. Yeah.
That was sneaky. I don't think that Nerchio was expecting that at all. He was going to try and macro out of the cheese, take that early advantage, and then just run with it. But White Raw didn't want to have anything to do with that. And I love the fact that he didn't drop his Nexus. He followed it up with a Stargate. And then as soon as Nerchio scouted that, he left the game.
Yeah, the greedy cat will get killed. I don't know where that saying came from, but honestly, when you're ahead, you don't want to necessarily always grab that Nexus, especially if you know the Zerg's on one base, he's not getting another hatchery. Most likely, he's going to all-in you.
Well, if Nerchio's in the all-inning type mood, this is a really good map to do it on, and we already see White Raw going for the very quick expansion here. Pylon and Forge below the ramp. He's even going to drop the Nexus before the first cannon. This might be a little risky. Is it going to get blocked? No, the Nexus does not get blocked. Nerchio, though, has now scouted him. He knows what's going on. Is he going to be able to inflict some damage here? We see 4 Zerglings on the way right now. He's getting gas for speed. The first cannon on the way now for White Raw. How is he going to wall this off if Nerchio's in the all-inning mood? This is a great map to do it on. Like I said earlier, he could do some sort of a 2-base timing push here with Speedlings and Roaches and inflict quite a bit of damage.
Or perhaps even Banelings. Never forget that Banelings are somewhat good as well against the Protoss wall. But Nerchio, for now, he's going to get his hatchery. Doesn't necessarily mean that he isn't going to all-in the Protoss player. There have been many different discussions on the ways that Zerg can do an eco attack, such as a Roachling all-in, Baneling bust, all those kinds of things. Looks like the Zerg will get in, Pain User, and they will be able to possibly make their way up the ramp and harass the Protoss mineral line once again.
Well, White Raw has probes in position to deflect this, and what great moves from both players here. I mean, just so aware of what the other player is trying to do, and White Raw blocking that ramp perfectly. Gonna kill one of those Zerglings. No, great micro from Nerchio, and he's gonna try and sneak in up the ramp here.
Oh, he gets two
of the Zerglings will make it in, but that's not enough to make up for the fact that he went pool first and invested in these 4 Lings. The Lings will stay around for quite a bit, however, and they will get some vital scouting information in White Raw's base. Now, Nerchio getting his natural expansion up here, he has produced some additional Zerglings, and I really wonder what he is trying to accomplish here with the Lings. He's just going for map control, it looks like, going to grab the Xel'Naga and try and deny any scouting probes from getting into his main.
Well, here's the thing that Nerchio has got to deal with, and it's really a decision that's quite crucial. Is he going to try to play a macro game with White Raw, or is he going to try to all-in this 2-base play from White Raw? Because he knows that White Raw went for that Nexus right away, so immediately the Protoss player has a great advantage over the Zerg. Nerchio has to decide if he wants to hatch or if he wants to go and be aggressive, and that's quite a situation that he's got to decide what he wants to do. Now we do have a Zealot coming in here. Good micro from Nerchio, keeps the drones away. It looks like he will lose one drone, make that possibly
He's already
two.
lost 2. That Zealot has 2 kills. He will take out 2 drones right there. Just rallying his first Zealot in. I love that move from White Raw right there. Nerchio not really prepared, didn't have enough Zerglings to deal with that.
Yeah.
But he does have speed now, and he's trying to harass in the main with these 2 Zerglings that he has had alive virtually since the beginning of this game. Now, the wall at White Raw's natural is not complete. It's going to be difficult for him to plug all the holes there. He's going to have to add another building on the far right, which makes him vulnerable to some kind of a timing push here. And we have an early layer coming from Nerchio.
Not just an early layer, man. It's also an early Stargate coming out. So we are going to see a quick take to the skies by White Raw once again.
Yeah, the Stargate I expected. The early layer like this, I didn't. He's not taking that conventional early third. He's going for a very quick layer here. Now, what does this signify? Are we going to see early mutas, or are we going to see early hydras? I think we're going to see early hydras here, and he could potentially use those for a really powerful bust at the natural.
Well, the fact is, Nerchio is building a spine crawlers at his front door, and a lot of times when Zerg players build spine crawlers at their front door, that means, hey, I'm worried about the possibility of a ground attack.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, it usually means they're going to go for mutas. Yeah. The thing is, when a Zerg player goes for 2-base hydras, they don't really build spine crawlers at the front. When they're going 2-base Spire, then they will build spine crawlers. So
I agree. So he's taking the defensive pose, getting the mutas up so he's safe to some sort of a ground attack, and then he's going to take to the skies. Is he going to have the Mutalisks in time to deal with the Void Ray? That's the question.
I think he will. The Spire is about 60 seconds out. This first Void Ray is only going out to scout for Overlords, and this Phoenix has made its way in, and it has scouted into the main. Now, there will be Spore Crawlers coming up because the Evo Chamber is going to be just a few seconds away from completing. Now, so I think White Raw won't really be able to do that much damage with his Air Forces.
Well, the thing is, though, is he will be able to almost entirely neutralize the Mutalisks. Phoenixes are so good against mutas. I don't know if that's really the best tech choice for Nerchio right now. The Stargate tech is already there. He's gonna be able to continually produce Phoenixes here, and we see that's what he's doing.
3 kills on that Void Ray, man.
I know, and he's also gonna be able to deny the third for quite a while here. And there we see him transitioning back. He's going to get those missile attacks. He canceled the Spire, and he's going to get that Roach Warren and a Hydralisk Den. So trying to fake White Raw out here, going to switch back into Hydras. And now the question is he going to go for a bust here? White Raw still hasn't scouted this, so he doesn't know about the switch. And, oh, that is a lot of Phoenix.
Yeah. White Raw right now does have a lot of Phoenix, obviously opting to go for the more air-based play. He may be able to pop off a Queen. Yes, he will, and possibly make that too. Now, there is a Spore Crawler coming up, and with the Spore Crawler, I think Nerchio will be able to hold simply because the Phoenix will not be able to hit the ground, and the last Void Ray goes down. That's a huge
White Raw
mistake.
Getting really sloppy right there in his control, not pulling out anywhere close to early enough, and he's going to lose his Void Ray as a result of that. So that's too bad for him. It's a very expensive unit that he invested in early on, and he could have used that to deny the third, actually, that we now see going up in the top left-hand corner. It would have been great to utilize that Air Force to control the space on the map and try and deny that third.
It's extremely costly, man, that initial first Void Ray, especially if you're only making one and you're just using that to pop Overlords. All the things you could have killed, the hatchery, more additional Overlords, there's a lot of different things you could have done with it, and now White Raw's really only limited to a Phoenix air fleet. And unfortunately, while Phoenix are really cool and everything, I'm afraid they don't fare all that well against an entirely Hydra-composed army, and that's what we see coming out of Nerchio. About 7 Hydralisks right now. Well, and that's a pretty large army.
They can do pretty well against an all-Hydra army. It just depends on the engagement. Phoenix is obviously ripped through Hydralisks. They get that bonus damage and they just cut through them like a hot knife through butter. But once Hydras reach that critical mass, they can start to take down the Phoenixes. Now, we've seen a lot of players go with this charge lot style to support the Phoenixes. The charge lots
are pretty good against Hydras.
Oh, absolutely. And the charge lots engage on the ground, combined with sentries, that Guardian Shield, and then you use the Phoenixes to just swoop in and pick up as many Hydras as possible during the battle. It really just comes down to the engagement and who gets the better jump on the opponent and how many units he's actually able to lift. And we see these Hydras coming in and picking off one of the Phoenixes.
That's pretty huge. Well, that Phoenix had a lot of energy right there. That's going to limit the amount of Graviton Beam that White is going to be able to launch out. Now, Nerchio, do note his macro here at 78 drones, man. Only 13 minutes into this game, he's got a very large economy, but we are going to have a big battle here. The Phoenix going down once again. White with the uncharacteristic blunder right there. He needs to save his Phoenix for the Graviton Beam, and we have a really big battle right here. The drones are coming off the line.
Has so many units, though. I think he has more than enough to crush through what Nerchio has right now. Nerchio gravely underestimating the size of White Raw's force, and he is just gonna plow his way through the third right now. Nerchio pulling all of his drones off the line, but it's not gonna be enough.
It's not gonna be enough, unfortunately. Nerchio is gonna have to forfeit the expansion at the top left-hand corner, and I can't help but feel with that expansion going down, will he be able to recover? Because he invested so many drones, so much minerals into that hatchery. His army now has really just broken down into just lings and roaches, and I'm afraid that it just isn't gonna be enough.
I mean, look how many stalkers we have out right now for White Raw. I mean, his army just absolutely exploded, and I can't help but think that it was that early Nexus that he really capitalized on, and now he is going for the throat here. Nerchio is wounded, and White Raw smells blood. He's going into the natural right now with everything he has. Can Nerchio hold? I don't think so.
I don't know, man. This is the grand finals. Nerchio is fighting valiantly, but like you said, White Red going for the jugular. We have a fungal growth going down from Nerchio's Infestor. Not bad at all, but those shields will regenerate over time, and there just isn't enough fungal to continually lock down those stalkers and whittle them down to a death. So White Red is gonna take a victory right here in game 2 as well, and we have Nerchio, the man who's been fighting through the loser bracket relentlessly, taking a quick 0-2 underdog loss under White Red.
Nerchio has left the game. Game 2, going to White Raw. Nerchio's in a little bit of trouble here.
Nerchio, man, is in a lot of trouble. I can't stress that enough. Going 0-2 to White Raw, you have to bring all that momentum back. On top of that, this is a best-of-5 series, so he only has one more chance. If he loses the next game, he's done. He's out. Kaput. It's over. White Raw wins.
Yeah, and keep in mind, he needs to take 2 best-of-5s off White Raw in order to win this. So, Nerchio's got a lot of work ahead of him here if he wants to come back in this series. Let's see if he can do it in Game 3.
Don't go anywhere, guys. Game 3 is coming up next.